Crack a beer and welcome to the MMA Happy Hour. We got UFC Mexico this weekend. I got my Mexican beer ready. I'm ready to roll. We're going to be breaking down 4 fights here on the pod. And I got my man Brian here. He's over from the Anik and Florian podcast. He is the big guns we're bringing in for UFC Mexico. Brian, how you feeling, man? We were chatting a little bit about Volk, the situation there, but how you feeling about this card? How you doing, man?
I love this card. I think there's some spots. I think even if there's not spots, I think there's going to be some really good fights. Yeah, I'm excited. In front of a crowd, Mexico crowd's going to be bananas. And, I got Apex fatigue, tired of the Apex. So happy to see it in front of a crowd again. And yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. This should be fun. Let's get after some of these picks. And I'm interested in see where your head's at here.
All right. And I agree with you, man. The Apex, we gotta move that along a little bit here. We got it far and few. But we are going to be breaking down the main event of the evening here between Brandon Moreno, which he's taking some more money today, minus 290. On the comeback here, we've got Brandon Royval plus 230. So I will set the table here on this one for you. And we already have, the former flyweight champion in Moreno. On the comeback here, you've got Royval. He's a killer be kill kind of guy. Exciting. And that's the thing. I think why people like betting him. He is a wild man. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to be entertaining. There's a lot of good things that he does do in the cage. He's really submission over position, where it's kind of high risk, high reward if it works out great. And he's done some good things. He's definitely done some good things. Had a nice 3-fight winning streak, beating Bontarine, beating Chanel. I thought that beating Nicolau was really impressive. I thought that was a spot where Nicolau was kind of getting a little teed up there to possibly go for that title opportunity, kind of like the situation there. He gets the victory. Now, for me, the key in this fight is got to be the physicality and the wrestling of Moreno. And I think a lot of people, if they're going the Moreno side, are going to probably agree on that's really the path. And I understand that Royval's kind of, he's big, the bigger frame and all those things, but the strength and all of that is really going to matter, adding in just the takedowns. Now, I have a mixed feeling on the takedowns. I'll get to how you kind of feel on that, because the takedown situation here is Royval can be taken down. We've seen what happens here. Pantoja took him down for 6 times, although it is Pantoja, but took him down 6 times, got that control time, all of those great things. But in the end of it, is it more that he's comfortable on the ground and just wants to play off of that? Or is it the fact that he just, he can't, it's not really where he wants to be. But in general, I think it's kind of a comfort level. He's lethal off of his back, all of those things. And Royval at the end of it also too, is his only win equity is really a finish to me, is really a finish. Moreno, never been finished in his career, which is absolutely impressive. I think the short notice is a little bit tough, although it's not the craziest short notice in general. And I think he's going to weaponize the cardio. I think he's going to push forward. He's going to get those level changes, bring him to a little bit of deeper water. I like Moreno here, but I like it inside the distance. I like plus 130. The number has come in a little bit. The plus 130, the knockout is tempting. I'm not going to lie. The knockout is tempting around the plus 350 mark, but I'm going to go Moreno inside the distance plus 130, man. How you kind of seeing this one go down?
Yeah, I see it the same way. I think Moreno's wrestling is underrated. I mean, he took Pantoja down. He took, he took Figueiredo down. Like his wrestling's pretty good. His top game's all right. It's not the heavy blanket, but Royval got taken down by Pantoja a lot. He didn't give up, but besides a few of his tricks off his back, he got shut down there. Now, what I like about Royval leading into the Pantoja fight, it was the chaos. He had to embrace the chaos. The chaos out of it because he's trying to be more patient, trying to fight 5 rounds, didn't want to give up, some cardio, which has been a problem in the past, which actually was a problem in the first Pantoja fight. So he kind of really paced himself, and he paced himself out of the chaos. To beat Moreno in this spot on short notice in Mexico City, which is elevated, I think you're going to have some chaos. You're going to have to land a jump knee. You're going to have to land some spinning elbow like you did against Kai Kara. You're going to have to land something to really spark Moreno, because Moreno's got a great chin. He's been put down before, but he's never been put out. And his submission defense is pretty good. Besides Pantoja and the Ultimate Fighter, he's pretty solid on the ground. But I like Moreno. I think Moreno, the fight with Pantoja, I think you can't really compare fights. I know I'm not doing MMA math here, but Royval versus Moreno, I thought Moreno, I know he fought Pantoja 3 times now, and he's lost all 3 times, but the last one was very close. Royval kind of got blew out a little bit. I think Moreno on short notice or taking Royval on short notice. I'm worried about the cardio. But you're right. If you're going to play Royval, act this beautiful plus 235 number. Touch him. Just play him by finish because that's the only way he's going to get done. He's not going to win a decision. I don't think he's going to make it 5 rounds. And on the flip side, Moreno plus 135 inside the distance, some kind of finish by knockout, like you said. Excuse me. That's a good play as well. But yeah, I'm all over Moreno here. I'm really confident in Moreno. He's going to be a parlay piece for me. I understand why he's this high. I wish we get him a little bit lower because I do think the first round will be competitive and then Moreno will take over. I think technique and everything Moreno brings is just a little bit better than Royval.
Where do you think? Because I'm thinking kind of on the total. I think it's like 3.5. I think somewhere in there. I think it's like minus 140 somewhere in there. I didn't play it, but I'm kind of been going back and forth. But then the more I thought about it, it's kind of in the sweet spot. It's kind of in that it could be that early beating or either one really. Like to your point, it could be Royval getting something done early, latching something in, or Moreno really brings it to him early. But do you have any kind of lean on there, or is it a pass for you on the total?
I think I'd go under. If you gun in my head, I'm going under. I do think it's going to be a wild first round. And Royval said something today. He's like, I didn't think I was getting this fight. I just thought I was getting a free trip to Mexico City. Now he could be playing my games, he playing whatever, but that doesn't seem like a guy that's fucking ready to go at 5 rounds. So I think Royval learned from Pantoja and goes, listen, I took this on short notice. I don't really have much to lose in this spot in Mexico City fighting a hometown hero, country hero. I'm going to go balls to the wall. And I think once he goes balls to the wall and if Moreno can withstand it, then I think he's going to be cooked. And so I think the under 3.5 is something maybe I would touch a little bit, but I'm not overly confident. I would prefer Moreno by knockout because you can see that in the 4th and 5th round as well, just exhaustion catching up with Royval.
Right. Yeah, that's I kind of was going back and forth that, but that maybe his comments today and stuff like that is what's moved this line, just that alone, because it really jumped. I mean, I'm even seeing some, I think FanDuel had it over 300. It was like minus 315. So it's really starting to climb and who knows, which it does get a little crazy when it gets that wide, but either way, it's going to be a great fight. So we got our picks on the main event, and now we're going to go to the co-main event of the evening between Yair Rodriguez minus 160 and Brian Ortega plus 135. And this is a fight that we saw not long ago, July of 2022. We only saw 4 minutes of it, was not too much, but what we took from it kind of depends who you talk to. Some people kind of were going on the side of Ortega was on his way to getting that takedown, was on his way to starting to bring him to his world, where some will say Yair did have a lot of success on the feet, landing good shots. Ortega kind of looked to me a little bit deer in headlights with the array of arsenal of kicks that Yair does have. So that really brings it to a pretty much an interesting situation. But when you look at it, again, another talking point that everyone's going to have is going to be Brian Ortega's takedowns and his inability to do that. He's at a 23% takedown success rate right now. Yair, 60% defense rate. And that is definitely something that really worries me. I mean, really worries me. We're definitely seeing money coming in on Ortega. It's starting to get a little bit close. I think it was like plus 160. Now it's about plus 135 at some books. And it's an interesting situation when you look at that because, yes, Yair was taken down by Volkanovski, 7 for 12 on takedowns. It's Volkanovski. Max Holloway they were battling. That was a great fight. And then Max kind of went to the takedowns. He went 3 for 5 on takedowns, really secured some rounds, really was able to kind of dictate some of the pace just with that alone. But you also look at kind of Ortega's just lapse of just time in the cage. And that scares me to death anytime I'm placing my money. And if you quickly just run down, I mean, it was Max Holloway in 2018. Then he took about 2 years off, came back, beat Korean Zombie in October of 2022. Then he took more time off. Then it was another year with Volkanovski. Then he took a year off losing there. Then he came back, lost to Yair, and then he took time. That was back in 2022. So to me, this kind of is their motivation. There was obviously the injury, time off, ring rust. Anybody you talk to within the UFC is always like, yeah, I mean, for the most part, ring rust is real. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Like it's not just, you could say that to any football player or any sport. You're not doing it for a while. The skills are going to diminish in a real time fashion. And so for me, in a stylistic standpoint here, I think it's going to play out on the feet. I think Ortega's going to struggle. I think he's really going to struggle to get those takedowns. I think he's going to struggle to cut the distance inside the kicks, inside the leg kicks. I think Yair is going to hammer the leg kicks. I also think that he's really kind of elevated all around. And we're kind of seeing that. Yes, he just lost, but we're definitely seeing probably the best version of him. And there's a chance that we may not see, may see one of the worst versions of Ortega. Like, who knows? So for me, I like Yair Rodriguez here. I have not bet it because I do believe this line will continue to go down. So I'm kind of seeing where that goes. But I also do like Yair via points. That's another spot where I think that Ortega, durable as hell, can take a brick to the face and keep going forward. I think that Yair will struggle to put him away, but will really run away on the strikes landed. So I'm going Yair here. How do you see this one going down?
So I might expose myself a little bit here to some of the Ortega fans. I might get some hate mail. I might get some comments. I don't think the guy's that good. I've extensively looked at his fights. He loses until he wins. That's not a key to success. It's not an ingredient to success. I think he's very skilled on the ground. I think his guillotine and triangle, everything is great. His jiu-jitsu is great. Boxing a little slow for me. But his career best was against Korean Zombie, but Korean Zombie never really won a fight after that, right? Korean Zombie's at the end of his rope. So Brian Ortega might need to shave the head again if he wants to get back to that what he's got, because he gets these guys and he lays an egg. And I thought he was laying an egg against Yair Rodriguez. The speed was killing him. The speed was phenomenal. And Ortega wasn't so good, so tough. He would have been out of there. He's just a durable, tough guy. We saw in the Max fight. We saw in the Volkanovski fight. I'm glad they reran this fight. The question is, was it an injury? Did Yair do it? And now that 145 is wide open and Yair's talking all that good shit about Topuria, I like this spot. This is a huge 145 spot because I think Volk needs some time. And if they're going to run Topuria in the summer, one of these guys could do it, I like Yair big here. I love this number on Yair. This is something I'm attacking. I'm going to disagree with you. I like Yair by finish. I think he will get him out of there at some point by knockout. I just think Ortega might not be built for it. I hate that, he doesn't fight enough. He's injured, right? And he's in Southern California. Who's he training with? He's not with Turo. He's not with Jalen Turner. He's got a great jiu-jitsu coach, but who are you sparring with? Sparring and striking is all about timing. You got to get your rounds in. And he might be getting his rounds in, but who is he getting the rounds in with? I have so many questions about this. Ortega is a sellable, marketable guy, good-looking guy, from LA. He's got a great story, but I just don't know if he has the goods to be an elite 145er. I've doubted for a little bit. He was on his way to losing the Moreno fight. He was on his way to losing the Cup Swanson fight. And, he pulls it out. And that says something about his heart. That says something about his toughness and obviously his skills. But with Yair, I just think Yair is too pinpoint on the feet. And I think he's not holding his head after the Volkanovski loss. I think he's rebounding well. And he goes, you know what? Fuck it. I came that close and I lost to the pound for pound guy at the time. Fuck it. What am I ashamed for? Let's rebound back. And it's in Mexico City, which the last time Yair fought in Mexico City ended with an eye poke early. People bombed the cage with beers.
Oh my gosh. Right.
So he wants redemption and he's going to come out hard. And I hope this number keeps going down. I already have one wager on him. I actually got him at 165 on DraftKings earlier this morning. And if the number goes down, I'll re-up and bet him again. But yeah, I like Yair in this spot, man.
All right. And I even think too, if this was in the apex cage, like it goes back to, then I think the number would be a little different. I think there'd be, it would not on his home turf and all these things. I think that the movement of it changes. We're here, and obviously that's not an end all be all, like, hey, the grappler in an apex cage. But I just think that Yair craves space so much and he really needs it, where it's not even just Ortega can cut distance, it's just he needs space to work, like absolutely. And I think in this spot here in the normal size cage, I think it sets up really well for him. And again, as we're both kind of saying, we're seeing money coming in on him. I just don't agree with it. I was kind of shocked to begin with. At first I was kind of looking at him as maybe like a parlay piece when the number was pretty high, and then I'm kind of seeing this number come down. I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes here, because I liked it early and then I just saw the market move that way. So it's an interesting take there. We both like Yair there in that spot. A little bit of disagreement on how it's going to finish, but it is a 5-round fight, which also does add to that as well too, because a lot of people may overlook that portion of it.
Right.
So there we have it on that. Now, the next one we're going to talk about here is going to be Raul Rosas Jr. minus 245 against Ricky Turcio. So this one here, I mean, this is one of those spots where, well, a quick story, I guess, is that actually, no, I'll tell the story in the next one. But this is a spot where you got a 19-year-old kid who had all of the hype in the world behind him. Dana White, the UFC, all of these things were going on. Kid looked the part. I mean, definitely young, and holy shit, he could really, really be something. And then he has a letdown spot against Christian Rodriguez. And I really feel that the market was getting a little too crazy on him, up to that point. And now I think it's overcorrected too much. This is a spot where I actually think that this is where Rosas should be a minus 400. I think he should be that big of a favorite in this spot here, because Tercios, he has ability. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Ultimate Fighter guy. There's a lot of good things that he can do. He can get up, and I think that's one of the things that can be, difficult for Raul, where he does have good scrambles. He does have good get-ups. He is knowledgeable off of his back. There are those good things that he does do. Now, the only issue is that he can be taken down. And again, is it a situation where he's somewhat comfortable with it? He doesn't want to strike. I mean, you can lose fights that way, so it's a little bit different of a scenario. But when Kevin Natividad takes you down 7 times, is just a bad look altogether. Even Brady Highstand takes you down 6 times, who's a middle of the road kind of guy, I guess you want to call it. That's another thing. And now you've got Raul, who has the better wrestling, who has the better top game, better jiu-jitsu, all of those things. And I think he can kind of keep him down there. And the way I look at it also is that, I think Tercios has enough to survive. I think he's at least going to be able to scramble. I feel like a lot of people are really kind of diving in on this finish, which absolutely is possible. I think Raul could make a big statement there and go for it. But I also think this is a big spot for him where he needs this victory. He needs to go out there and start to put together a couple wins, build himself back up a little bit, build that name. And I think that Tercios is tough enough to survive off of his back, can scramble, get back to his feet, and not get subbed. So I actually lean towards the points here on Raul Rosas Jr. plus 200. I think the price is pretty good. I think that Raul, you can parlay him in this spot here. I think that this line should be way bigger, just because I think it's going to be one-way traffic for 3 rounds. I think it's either submission or 30-27 happening in this spot here. So how do you see this one?
I was hoping I come on here and disagree a little bit. I didn't want to be a Skip Bayless, but you're money with it, man. Like, Ross Jr.'s a guy I've been looking to fade, and I faded him against C-Rod. C-Rod just outmanned him, right? He wasn't ready for that, and then he rebounded well, and now he's got a guy in Tercios who gets taken down a lot, and yes, he can get back up, but when he gets back up, he exposes a lot. And Rojas Jr. at 19 years old is a pure grappler. He wants to take advantage of that. He gets your back. He doesn't let it go. Can he finish the show at times? Still young. I mean, yeah, he can, but could he? Maybe. I like it by points as well. It's great read. That's what I thought. I don't think he's going to get Tercios out of here. Tercios is a scrappy dude. Throws a lot of volume, not a lot of power. Chin on Rojas. We ain't rocking this kid at 19 with the Tercios shots. It's just not going to happen. But I think it's going to come down to grappling and Tercios. There's no way he has learned great takedown defense he's been out for a little bit, but there's no way he's going to give up multiple takedowns. He's going to rush to his back or back to his feet, get his back, take him. And don't know if there's going to be a finish there, but it'll be like one of those rounds where it's like he's getting backpacked the entire round, getting beat up a little bit. Rojas Jr., I'm a little worried, like if it comes to the 3rd round, maybe cardio-wise, because he faded big time against C-Rod, but I think he's ironed that out. I think, again, now a 17, 18-year-old kid. He's 19 now. This is his full-time job. He's taking it seriously. But, yeah, Rojas Jr. is the play here. I like him by points as well. Minus 245 is a number that I think we're getting super cheap. I know, 245 is a little chalk for people, but I think that's a cheap number when in your mind as a capper, you think he should be higher. That's something you go and run and play. So, yeah, I like Rojas Jr. as well by decision. I'm with you.
All right. We agree on that one too. And I think with the cardio, at least my take on the cardio situation is I feel like it wasn't just, there could be bad cardio. That absolutely could be, but I think it's a management of cardio. Yeah. I feel like he's going balls to the wall early. He wants to put on there was the pressure of he's the next big thing. He's got to get these finishes. And then when he actually had, Rodriguez in some bad spots, it's just, that kid could it's almost, to a Tercios kind of thing. He can survive. He's good on the ground. The guy's tough. He's not going to be put away easily. And then he totally mismanaged that. And now he has nothing heading into the second round. And that's kind of what happens. But that's a learning thing where I feel like that's where you're going to see a better version of him where, okay, I know what it's like now to step on the gas and not get there. He was used to stepping on the gas and just dominating, getting the takedowns, getting the finish and all those things. Now it's kind of the point where, okay, I gotta settle in a little bit more. And I'm sure he's still going to be aggressive, but settle in more and allow the fight to come to him. Then just, I'm going to dive at legs and take this guy down. So I kind of think that's how it's going to play, but I'm glad we agree on that one as well. And then the last one here, which it's going to be an interesting one here to see kind of where you go on this one, because I feel like people are all over one side. They're all over it. I mean, there's no really one side take on this one here. We've got Ziam, he is minus 210 on the comeback. You've got Claudio Puelles plus 170. So this one here, I mean, I don't know what we do with it. I mean, this is one where you look at it, where this is a fight where the boy is Puelles coming off maybe one of the most embarrassing losses that maybe has ever happened. And my story is that I was at this event. It was at MSG. I was there. And at the time, I was with a girl. It was a girl that I was seeing at the time. And I'm like, hey, you're going to love this. This is going to be an action-packed card. And which it was. It was a friggin' great, it was a great betting card, all that. But she's like, what the hell is this? Like, do a lot of guys do this? And I'm like, no, they don't. They're way more skilled to bring the fight to the ground. And I'm trying to explain it. It was almost embarrassing just watching it. And I did have Hooker in that spot. But this is now a spot where I feel like, again, possibly the market has overcorrected. Now, I'm not that big on Firas. I'm not that big on him. He's a striker. He's got problems with them as well, too. I mean, I get it. Puelles can't get the fight to the ground, but, Ziam is low volume guy, doesn't have much power, is just kind of looking to just win rounds and outpoint a guy where Puelles could help him. That could kind of help him in lapses in time, lapses in action. He could really look to move forward. Now, I'm assuming that since that last fight, he has done and really elevated his takedown in some capacity. I mean, but again, he had 5 straight victories. 3 of them were by submission. I mean, he was definitely on the roll, and we almost forget that's again the UFC in general, right? It's like the overreaction. It's like Volkanovski's now like one of the worst fighters to ever happen, but 2-3 fights ago, he was the greatest fighter ever. So it's like, it's quick how everybody kind of changes that. And this is a spot where now, listen, I'm not saying Claudio is like the second coming here and this great spot, but I just think that at plus 170, the path is there. The finishability is only going to be on his side. I don't see Ziam doing really anything besides trying to win rounds, which he can. He could probably stay at range and maybe pick him apart for 3 rounds. But I'd lean more towards the plus money here. I think plus 110 is expensive for this kind of fighter, for this kind of matchup. And Puelles is just going to roll around the ground a couple times. If he gets one of those, the fight could be over. So I lean him in this spot here. It's another one where, I think the money could still come in on Firas, but I also think the submission prop could be the spot to go for Puelles here. So how do you see this one going down?
Man, I thought I was going to sneak one by you. I'm on the same side. Listen, Puelles is
that means we're cashing. Cheers. That means we're
cashing. Puelles is the guy where he can make you look smart or make you look fucking dumb, right? Because he goes out there and flops around. You're like, you bet this guy? What you do this? What this is your passion? You're betting this guy? He's flopping around. Other times though, you're like, oh yeah, look, see, I knew that was gonna happen. But Ziam and Hooker are built the same. They're both tall, lanky guys. So this is back-to-back camps of Puelles fighting guys with that kind of body type. And Puelles got in on Hooker's legs a few times. Now, I think Dan Hooker is much better fighter than Ziam. Obviously, Ziam is training. He knows what's going to happen in this situation. He knows he's defending leg locks. But if you ever train jiu-jitsu, you ever train leg locks, you can't go 100% practice. You'll tear your knees, your legs. You got to drill very slowly. Puelles is going to be ranking on those things. Coming from a kickboxing background, I don't know if Ziam is going to be able to handle, or Ziam is going to be able to handle the pressure on his knees or ankles to know if it's ready to pop or not. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm going to play Puelles by submission only. I'm not gonna touch the money line. Plus 170 is gorgeous. I don't really like Fair Ziam. Not my kind of guy. Boring, long, tall striker who you think coming from kickboxing, would have more finishes, but doesn't throw volume, doesn't have a ground game. Takedown defense is coming along, but I like submission only here by Puelles. Hopefully we get a plus number on that. Vegas, I haven't seen your props yet, but Vegas might be smart on it. But yeah, again, all 4 fights we talked about, we agreed. Hopefully I can come back on here. I just disagree with everything. We'll see what happens.
We'll just start yelling at each other.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing too. I haven't seen any of the lines on Puelles by submission, but I feel like it's going to be like plus 200. It's going to be like they're almost going to say, yeah, this is his most likely path, and that's going to be it. Is he really going to wet blanket him for 3 rounds? No. Is he going to outstrike him for 3 rounds? No. So it's really submission or bust, and I don't mind it at this price. But again, if it's a little bit more, the plus 250, plus 2, which I'm hoping maybe somewhere up there, because he is such a big underdog in this spot, and if the money continues to stay where it's at, maybe it's a good spot to take there. So so there you have it. There you have it for UFC Mexico, and excited about it. Great card. We're coming off a winning weekend last weekend. Volk did bother the hell out of me, but we are coming off another winning weekend. Out of the last 15 cards, we've cashed 11. Feeling good. Gotta keep it going. Brian, man, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely have you on again, and we'll figure out one that we just totally disagree.
Yeah, right. We're too sharp. We're too sharp to disagree. Thank you, Kyle, for having me on. It's a lot of fun, man. Hopefully we cash, and hopefully everyone that watches cash as well. We hopefully we gave out some good advice and maybe tail. I mean, we're both on the same side. We agreed. So let's win some money this weekend, boys.
Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks for coming on, and we'll do this again next weekend. Let's cash.